ROI is important for meetings because we have a responsibility to prove the value of meetings beyond sort of the typical or old school measurements. The previous measurements for many years have been issues like budget, which are very important, attendance, very important, and sort of a scale of happiness, which is, obviously you want your attendees happy. But the meeting industry has become really more accountable for the work that we do, and the people working in the meeting industry have become more accountable, and ROI is a way of reporting that accountability and talking about the real value that meetings bring beyond the budget numbers and beyond attendance figures and beyond satisfaction figures. So it really talks about not how much the meeting cost, but the question of whether or not the meeting should have taken place at all, regardless of cost, based on the value that it brings back to the organization sponsoring it. So the most important element of measurement of a meeting is really identifying clear objectives. And I mean objectives that go beyond we want to have a meeting so that we can get everybody together. That is obviously one of the elements of a meeting, but it's not a clear objective. An objective talks about what is it we want people to know? What is it we want people to do? I mean, that's probably the most important question in a meeting, for any meeting, is what is it we want people to do? We want them to sell more, we want them to be more engaged in customers, we want them we want to improve retention of customers or employees. Whatever the action is that you want, that's got to be clearly articulated, and almost never is. So the very first measurement that can be done by anybody, whether you know the ROI methodology or not, is what is it you want people to do after the meeting? And then beyond that, if you decide to measure beyond that, it's really, okay, so how will we know that we've achieved that? And that goes into the measurement, okay? So we want people to sell more. How do we know that they're going to sell more as a result of this conference? And that's when you get into the more complex elements of the ROI methodology, but all of it's accessible. And the challenge is that most people, most planners, realistically, don't have clear objectives. And it's not because they are deficient, it's because the people that they're planning meetings for don't have a clear idea. They have a vague idea of why the meeting is being held. They have a vague idea of what they want to accomplish. But the extent to which they have clarity on those objectives it means that they're going to have a much more successful meeting and a much greater chance of achieving those objectives. The good news about ROI is that most meetings do not have to be measured to the degree of financial ROI. They just don't. I mean, typically it's about 5% of the total meetings that are held in a year should be measured. And those are going to be the most expensive meetings, the most visible meetings, the most strategically important meetings. Those meetings probably should be measured to the level of financial ROI. The others are going to be measured based on the other levels of measurement. What do we want people to learn? What do we want them to do? What is the business impact of this meeting? But one of the things that puts people off with ROI is the idea that I can't do level 5 ROI, which is financial ROI, so I'm not even going to bother. It's important to bother. It's important to get involved with measurement even when you can't and should not measure to the financial ROI piece.